My name is Wendy Ford and I'm 32 years old. After graduating from a prestigious university with a degree in computer science, I chose to become a police officer despite my family's strong objections. Over the past 10 years, I've built a solid career, solved numerous cases, and earned the respect of both colleagues and superiors. Yet, no matter how much I achieve, I've never gained my family's approval. To them, I'm still just a beat cop handing out traffic tickets. Out on the roadside again today? That's how my mother, Susan, opens nearly every monthly family call, her tone dripping with the implication that my job is somehow beneath me. I know patrol must be tiring, but maybe it's time you aimed a little higher? She talks as if my work is some kind of burden on society. I've explained this so many times, I reply, my voice heavy with exhaustion. But she never listens. My father, Thomas, is a senior manager at a major tech company. My younger sister, Kelly, is pursuing her PhD in computer science at an elite graduate school. Whenever we gather as a family, the conversation revolves around Kelly's research or my father's latest promotion. My work is reduced to a single dismissive comment like, "Still doing that job?" It's hard watching a brilliant mind like yours wasting away in law enforcement, my father says every time. All your classmates are thriving in Silicon Valley, and you're still riding around in a patrol car. He always trails off, but the words left unsaid doing a meaningless job hang in the air. Kelly is the most blunt of them all. "You've always been good at running from reality," she once told her friends in front of me. "You didn't want real competition, so you put on a uniform and hid behind authority. You were so smart in college, what a waste." I've tried again and again to explain the complexity and importance of my work, how intellectually demanding and socially vital it is. Decision-making under pressure, analyzing evidence, navigating psychological games with criminals, applying legal knowledge in real time. Every day presents new challenges. But my family refuses to hear it. To them, I'm just an example of a wasted education. Even when I tell them about a promotion, my mother says, "Did your salary go up?" Still probably less than half of what people in Silicon Valley make. If I receive an award, my father brushes it off, a local honor, right? Not a national one, I assume not. No matter how hard I work or how much I achieve, it's never enough. And the irony? They don't even know that I work at the federal level. Kelly once said to me, "You seriously need to wake up. You're going to be a cop forever." Ryan, my fiancé, is a top-tier professional. It's embarrassing that my sister's a police officer. I'd never even met Ryan. I didn't know what he did for a living. But her words cut deep. That was the moment I decided to stop telling them anything about my job. If they weren't willing to understand, I didn't need their understanding. I would simply keep walking my path quietly, on my own terms. What hurt the most, though, was how my family took my financial support for granted. At first I gave because I so desperately wanted their love and approval. They say you can't buy love, but that's exactly what I was trying to do. When they wouldn't recognize my worth through my profession, I tried to show it through money. I paid for our annual family vacations, Hawaii, cruises, you name it. Each trip cost $10,000 to $20,000, and I never said a word. "Where should we go this year?" My father would ask excitedly every spring. "How about Italy? Kelly would love that." "That sounds wonderful." My mother's eyes would light up. "Wendy, we're counting on you again." And I would tell myself, This will make them happy. They'll need me. Maybe they'll finally appreciate me. If they look down on my career, I could at least be useful financially. Kelly demanded luxury suites like it was her right, and my mother savored every high-end dinner. To outsiders, they claimed the trips were a result of our shared family savings. In reality, I funded everything from my own salary. Every time I saw their smiling faces on those trips, I told myself maybe now they'll see my value. But no one ever questioned how a traffic cop could afford it all. There was never a word of gratitude, just casual remarks like, well, she's a government employee, so her income must be stable, or it's good to have a practical daughter like her. I had tried to buy love, but all I received in return was indifference and dismissal. The very support I gave, hoping to be loved, only reinforced their disregard. But back at work, I felt the trust and respect of my colleagues and superiors. The gratitude from victims and their families when a case was solved. And the deep sense of purpose that comes from serving society. That's what kept me going. And yet, the longing for my family's approval never fully disappeared. I still wonder, will there ever come a day when they see me for who I really am? The truth is, my career as a police officer has led me down a far more specialized and vital path than they ever imagined. In my third year on the force, I was assigned to the cybercrime division. It was the first time I truly got to use my computer science degree. Each day brought new challenges: hacking cases, online fraud, corporate espionage, child exploitation takedowns, complex digital crimes of the modern age that constantly pushed my mind to its limits. My analytical skills and technical expertise quickly stood out. Whether it was reverse engineering malware, decrypting encrypted communications, or recovering digital evidence, everything I'd learned in university had finally found its place. Some colleagues even began calling me a genius. One of the most memorable cases was the takedown of an international cybercrime organization. After 3 years of ongoing damage across multiple countries, we uncovered their methods and helped bring the ringleader to justice. At age 28, that case led to a recruitment call from the FBI. "We've been waiting for someone like you," said Deputy Director Lucy Johnson, the recruiter. "We'd like you to join the FBI Cyber Division and take on assignments that are critical to national security. The salary will be more than double what you earn now." In the FBI Cyber Division, my area of expertise became oversight of defense contractors and critical infrastructure firms. Any security breach in these sectors posed a direct threat to national safety. We were tasked with identifying and preventing cyber attacks targeting power grids, telecommunications networks, military contractors, and government agencies. I was granted clearance to access top-tier corporate secrets, question C-level executives directly, and issue cease and desist orders when necessary. As a federal agent, I held jurisdiction that extended across state lines. Every case I handled carried potential damages in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Including bonuses and allowances, my annual income reached $140,000 more than my father's. But I never told my family. No mention of promotions. No talk of the high-profile cases I cracked. No sharing of the awards I received. If they would never understand, then why keep setting myself up for disappointment? Even when they asked, "How's work been lately?" I would reply with a flat, "Same as always or nothing new." They had no idea I was an FBI special agent. They couldn't even begin to imagine I worked on matters involving national security. Deputy Director Johnson trusted me completely. Agent Ford's analysis is always precise. Her judgment is consistently reliable, she once told senior staff. By the time I turned 30, I had been promoted to team leader, becoming one of the most promising young agents in the department. My team affectionately referred to me as the legendary agent because of my cool head, sharp decisions, and unwavering resolve. The respect I received at work was real. They recognized my abilities for what they truly were and acknowledged my contributions. In stark contrast to my family's dismissiveness, my workplace valued me fully and fairly. My colleagues respected me, my team looked up to me, and my superiors trusted me. Here, I wasn't a wasted talent in law enforcement. I was a specialist on the front lines of national security. And yet, to my family, I was still just handing out traffic tickets. There had been many chances to tell them the truth. But their prejudice ran so deep, I no longer had the energy to fight it. They would never see me for who I truly was. One day, while reviewing a list of companies under surveillance, I spotted a familiar name: my father's employer, Tech Defense Solutions, a mid-sized firm developing military software. Recent audits had flagged serious cybersecurity lapses. As I stared at the listing, I couldn't help but feel the irony. Still, professional ethics came first. I didn't disclose my family connection to anyone and proceeded as I would with any other case. Not even Deputy Director Johnson was informed. There was no room for personal emotion in this job. Soon, a full-scale inspection of my father's company was authorized. The cybersecurity deficiencies were deemed a threat to national security. When I was appointed lead investigator, I realized this might be the perfect opportunity to finally show my family the truth. But alongside that realization came a wave of conflicted emotions born from years of being dismissed. On the day of the inspection, I dressed in my formal black suit, projecting the full authority of an FBI special agent as I arrived at Tech Defense Solutions. But something unexpected awaited me. As I parked my car, I spotted my mother and Kelly standing in front of the building. Why were they at my father's company parking lot? I stopped in my tracks. I hadn't anticipated this at all. Just then, my father walked out the main entrance. "Good work today, Dad." Kelly's voice rang out. "You're almost done for the day, right?" "Yeah, just wrapping things up. Let's go grab dinner like we planned." "Where should we go?" My mother asked with a smile. "How about that Italian place Kelly's been dying to try?" "Perfect. I wanted to invite Ryan, but he's working late today. Mom and I will wait for you at the cafe across the street," Kelly said, a little disappointed. They were planning a nice dinner together, waiting for my father to finish his day. I composed myself and walked toward the building. Maybe this was fate. A chance to finally show them who I really was. I pulled out my badge and approached the building's entrance, carrying myself with the full authority of an FBI special agent. Just then, Ryan Hansen appeared behind me. "Agent Ford, good afternoon," he said respectfully. "I'll be assisting with today's inspection, as always, under your lead." The moment he spoke, Kelly turned around and gasped. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" She rushed over, delighted. "I had no idea you'd be here. What a lovely surprise." But my mother's confused whisper broke through the excitement. "Boss, that young woman? That back, she looks oddly familiar." I turned around. And in that moment I watched their faces change. The color drained from my father's face. "Wendy?" My mother froze, mouth slightly open. What? Kelly stared at me for several seconds before stammering. Wendy? Why are you here? Why are you wearing a suit? Ryan looked between me and my family, clearly confused. Is there a problem? I replied calmly. No problem. Let's proceed with the inspection as scheduled. But my father cut in with a shaky voice. Wendy, you're an FBI special agent? Yes, I said plainly. I'm Special Agent Wendy Ford with the FBI. I'm here today to conduct a cybersecurity inspection of this facility. Kelly turned to Ryan. Did you just call my sister your boss? Ryan looked even more confused. Yes, Agent Ford is my direct supervisor. She leads our team. Then he looked back at Kelly, his expression stunned. Kelly, you thought your sister was a patrol officer. She is, Kelly replied, visibly flustered. I mean, she was. Why the FBI? Why is she your boss? Ryan spoke with deep respect in his voice. Agent Ford is the most brilliant person on our team. Everyone respects her. I had no idea she was your sister. I'm genuinely shocked and impressed. Apparently, Kelly had only ever referred to me as a cop. She hadn't told him how condescendingly she viewed me, but the attitude had always been there. I allowed myself a small smile inside. The embarrassing cop sister Kelly always talked about was also the legendary boss her fiancé deeply admired. And now they had to face the reality that the woman they dismissed as just a traffic cop was the person Ryan respected the most. My mother spoke again, her voice trembling. Her direct supervisor? Wendy? But she's a police officer. She works at a station. I cut in, still composed. I've been with the FBI for 5 years. My father staggered back and sank into a nearby chair. Then you're the one leading today's inspection? Yes, I'm the lead investigator for this case. I confirmed. A heavy silence fell over the group. I turned to Ryan. Mr. Hansen, let's put personal matters aside for now. Work comes first. Ryan replied quickly. Yes, Agent Ford. My apologies. Silence again. My family stood frozen, finally beginning to grasp that the daughter they had dismissed for a decade now held a position far beyond what they'd ever imagined. Leaving behind my stunned mother and Kelly, Ryan, my father and I entered the building to begin the inspection. As the inspection progressed, I shed any personal feelings and fully stepped into my role as a sharp, disciplined investigator. My father observed from another room. His expression shifted gradually as he watched me in action. There are major vulnerabilities in your firewall configuration, I told the lead technician firmly, standing beside Ryan. Your system is currently wide open to external breaches. The technician looked overwhelmed by my technical assessment. You're absolutely right, Agent Ford. We'll begin corrections immediately. Corrections alone are not sufficient, I said calmly. A full overhaul is necessary. This is a matter of national security. My father, witnessing my authority and expertise firsthand, had no choice but to begin accepting the truth. I heard him muttering under his breath. Her questions are precise. She spots our weaknesses instantly. I had no idea my daughter had this level of expertise. Toward the end of the inspection, I made a critical announcement. As a result of this audit, we've identified multiple serious security violations within this company. These constitute significant threats to national security, My father's face turned pale. Serious violations? To what extent? The details will be provided in a formal written report, I replied in a detached, procedural tone. If these issues are not addressed, termination of federal contracts will be considered. Additionally, Director Thomas Ford may be held accountable for management failures. My father sank deeper into his chair, overwhelmed by the humiliation and confusion of being reprimanded professionally by his own daughter. As the inspection wrapped up, I addressed the staff, including my father, with composure. Thank you, everyone. Let's ensure this doesn't happen again moving forward. When Ryan and I exited the building, we found my mother and Kelly still standing outside. Kelly's voice trembled. Wendy, we need to talk. I'm on duty. If you have something to discuss, we'll have to do it later. My mother said, her eyes filled with tears. Wendy, we didn't know. Not knowing doesn't justify dismissing me, I responded coldly. For 10 years, you've continuously denied the validity of my choices and the value of who I am. Ryan, who had been standing silently, finally spoke, his smile from earlier now gone, replaced by confusion. Agent Ford, Wendy, He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. At first, I was genuinely proud to find out that Kelly's sister was my most respected supervisor. But now... He glanced between my father, my mother, and Kelly, reading the discomfort and shock still etched on their faces. Now, seeing all of your reactions, Ryan continued carefully. It's as if none of you had any idea she was an FBI special agent. And why are you so shocked? Kelly quickly tried to interrupt. Ryan, that's... Kelly, he said quietly, cutting her off. You told me your sister was a police officer. But now I'm seeing reactions that suggest you and your parents never truly respected her job at all. My mother rushed to explain. No, it's just a misunderstanding. Ryan looked at me and spoke apologetically. Agent Ford, I think I'm beginning to understand the situation. It seems that your family... Mr. Hansen, I said firmly, cutting him off. We'll schedule a proper conversation another time. But going forward, please keep our professional and personal relationships clearly separate. Let's head back. Ryan's expression revealed a mix of confusion and unease as he began to realize the truth that my family had been underestimating me all along. In his eyes, I could see not just guilt toward me, but a new uncertainty about the family he was planning to join. Now that the truth was out, there was no going back to the way things had been. As we drove away, I reflected on the past 10 years, how I had endured their disregard while quietly supporting them financially. Perhaps it was finally time to settle the score. 1 week later, I gathered my family at our childhood home. The atmosphere in the living room was completely different from a week earlier. My father looked drained, my mother anxious, and Kelly had clearly been crying. Ryan sat beside them, his expression tense. Thank you all for coming today, I said calmly. There's something important I need to address. I placed a stack of bank statements and receipts on the table. First, I'd like to go over the financial support I've provided over the past 10 years. Their faces went pale. For years, I've supported this family financially. But as of today, that support ends. I delivered the words with clinical precision. The Hawaii trip scheduled for next month has been canceled. Flights and hotel bookings have been voided, and I've already recovered the $3,000 in cancellation fees. Considering future expenses, It's a small price to pay. My father tried to stop me, flustered. Wendy, please wait. We're sorry. Truly. We didn't realize you held such a position. The annual salary for an FBI special agent is $140,000. That's how I was able to afford all that support. Did none of you ever wonder? Did you really think a traffic cop could cover all of this? My mother, tears falling, whispered. We never thought about it. It's not that you didn't think about it, I corrected her coldly. It's that you chose not to. Because continuing to belittle me allowed you to maintain a false sense of superiority. Kelly broke down crying. I was wrong, Wendy. I'm so sorry. I do not accept your apology. My voice was firm. This isn't something that can be resolved with a simple sorry after 10 years of constant belittlement. From this moment forward, I will have no further contact with any of you. My father jumped in, flustered. Wendy, please, we're still family. Family? I gave a dry laugh. If we're family, then why did you spend a decade denying who I am? If we're family, why couldn't you respect the path I chose? Kelly's voice cracked in desperation. What are we supposed to do, Wendy? How can we make this right? There is no forgiveness. I stood up. As of today, I am cutting all ties with you. My mother clung to my arms, sobbing. Wendy, you're my daughter. We're blood. Blood means nothing without respect, I said, brushing her off. Have you ever, even once, been proud of me as your daughter? As your sister? Ryan shifted uncomfortably before speaking. I had no idea your family treated you like this. I never imagined they disregarded your work so deeply, Agent Ford. You bear no responsibility, Ryan, I told him. But you should carefully reconsider your relationship with Kelly. It's important to understand the values of those closest to you, especially when those values include looking down on others. From that night on, everything changed. Later, I heard that intense arguments erupted at home after I left. The next morning, Ryan called. Agent Ford, no Wendy. His voice was heavy, like he hadn't slept all night. I spoke at length with Kelly last night. I stayed silent, listening. To be honest, I was shaken, he continued. It devastated me to learn that the supervisor I respect most was constantly disrespected by her own family. When I pressed Kelly for the truth, she told me about the past 10 years, and I just couldn't accept it. Ryan, I've called off the engagement. His voice was resolute. I can't marry someone who disrespects the person I admire most. And frankly, I've started to question Kelly's values too. Judging people based on their job titles, looking down on her own sister, I can't live with that mindset. A few days later, Kelly called me in tears. Wendy, Ryan broke off the engagement. He said it's all my fault. He blamed my values, our family's values. He said it was all because of me. I replied evenly. That was his decision. I said nothing to him. But we're family, aren't we? Please talk to him. Help me fix this. Her voice was desperate. I can't live without him, I said quietly. That's your problem, not mine. She kept sobbing. I was wrong, I know that now. But is it really too late? Can't I fix it? There are things in life that can't be undone, I said. These are the consequences of your choices. The result of 10 years of disrespect and arrogance. In the wake of the audit, my father was demoted. He went from department director to section chief. His salary dropped significantly. My mother tried to call me several times to apologize. I never answered. A few months later, I moved into a new apartment. A bright, spacious home in one of DC's elite neighborhoods. There were no family photos on display. Instead, I framed commendations, photos with colleagues, and newspaper clippings from resolved cases. One day, Deputy Director Johnson dropped by my office. "Agent Ford, how have you been? I heard you've been dealing with some family matters." "I'm doing very well," I said with a smile. "Now that I'm free from seeking their approval, I've been able to focus fully on my work. I've gained more confidence in my own judgment." "I'm glad to hear that," she replied warmly. "It's never easy when family doesn't understand, but staying true to yourself matters more. Your work has been exceptional. We're proud of you." As I looked out the window, I realized something. The approval I had spent so many years chasing no longer held power over me. I had found clarity in my own decisions. I had learned to validate myself. Word eventually reached me that Kelly dropped out of grad school and became reclusive. After the breakup, she lost motivation for her research and sank into depression. My father, crushed by his demotion, was said to be considering early retirement. My mother, oddly enough, had begun telling the neighbors with pride, "My daughter works for the FBI." But none of that mattered to me anymore. Whether they were struggling or finally regretting their past, it was the outcome of their own choices. Ryan, meanwhile, was promoted and now serves as one of my most trusted subordinates. Every now and then, he asks me how Kelly is doing. I always give the same reply. That's not my concern anymore. 6 months later, I made a major breakthrough. I led the takedown of an international cyber terrorist network, preventing a large-scale attack on U.S. critical infrastructure. For that, I received the Director's Award from the FBI, and the story was covered by national news outlets. My parents tried to call to congratulate me. I didn't answer. A voicemail from my father said, "We're so proud of you. We tell everyone about you." I deleted it without listening to the rest. I had fully freed myself from a life dependent on their recognition. And for the first time, I was truly living on my own terms. At work, some people call me the Ice Queen. But I wear it as a badge of honor, proof of my composure, my unshakable resolve. I have no regrets. I lost the conditional love and support of my family. But in return, I gained self-respect and independence. It was a painful choice, but the right one. Family approval and affection are important, yes. But if they come with conditions, then maybe they're not worth having at all. I've learned to recognize my own worth and to walk my own path. That's the life I've chosen. I no longer need to meet anyone's expectations. I no longer need anyone's permission to feel proud. I will live my life with pride just as I am.